Today we're going to talk about the world of artificial intelligence, that is AI. Now, Google on Monday unveiled an experimental conversation AI service called Bard, powered by Lambda, that is a language model for dialogue applications, a large language model that was developed and released by Google in 2021. Bard will be initially opened up to trusted testers before making it more widely available to the public in the coming weeks as well. Now, Bard is considered as Google's response to ChatGPT, launched by San Francisco-based AI and research company OpenAI in November last year and backed by Microsoft. In recent weeks, ChatGPT has been all over the news, having surpassed the 1 million user mark before other popular applications like Instagram and TikTok. It has sparked competition in artificial intelligence and increased funding for AI research. So what does ChatGPT, Bard and other such AI applications bring to the table, and how will these developments in the world of AI impact our daily lives as well? To try and answer these questions in detail, we have with us a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Professor Mausam is joining us from the Department of Computer Science at IIT Delhi. He is also the founding head of Yardi School of Artificial Intelligence. We also have with us Subimal Bhattacharjee, an expert on AI, and Jiten Jain, a cybersecurity expert, is also joining us. We also are joined by Mr. Khanderao Khan. He's a policy strategist, technologist, and startup advisor. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Sunset Television. I'll begin with you, Professor Mausam, and let's first start by understanding what is ChatGPT and Bard.
This is a very important question, very timely question, and if audience doesn't know about ChatGPT, they should go and really start playing with it. ChatGPT is a language model. Now, what's a language model? A language model is that something, if you give it some command, it can sort of give you an answer, or it can complete the sentence, or it can write an essay. Basically, it has language capabilities. These kinds of very large AI systems are trained by taking, text openly available on the web, like the cat sat on the mat, and taking some words out, like create a blank, the cat sat on the dash, and the model is trained to answer mat, which is the actual sentence from which the actual word from which the sentence was taken. If you do this at a very, very large scale and have billions and trillions of parameters in the model starts to understand language the way you and I, to some extent, understand language. Okay. And so when we give it a new question, then the model is able to understand the question and then give you an answer to the question. This has been happening for the last 3, 4, 5 years. But what has happened in the last year is that these simple question answering or sentence completion systems are becoming more and more advanced, more and more refined. So you can now have a conversation with these systems. And not only can you have conversations, they can create poems, they can write code. So actually, these models are becoming really sophisticated, and ChatGPT is probably the most sophisticated model that came out to the general public in the last couple of months, where suddenly everybody got astonished as to, wow, the model can answer questions in such level of detail. It can write essays. It can write in the style of a particular poet or in a particular pop style and things like that. It can summarize content. So it has basically amazing language skills. And that is what is becoming a real excitement in the field of AI right now.
Okay. That's a very simple way of making our viewers understand what is actually ChatGPT and other applications like it. Bard, which has been recently launched, mean exactly. Mr. Khanderao, I'd like to bring you in. It's not as simple as it sounds, as Professor Mausam has explained it to us, if we go a little deeper into it. So I'd like you to go a bit deeper, because this seems to have, spurred or initiated a sort of a battle royale in the world of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so certainly I think as Professor mentioned, it is a large language model. It's a pretty huge. If you look at the ChatGPT itself, it is trained with 175 billion parameters. But this is not the first one. There has been earlier attempts, like say, Baidu now also announced a newer version of their chat LLM model. But earlier in 2021, they had announced ERNIE, which was just 11 billion parameters. Last year, Google had actually announced a couple of initiatives. MUM was one of them. Google is one of the pioneer technologies in here. Right? So if you look at it, the artificial intelligence in the form of how the brain works, in terms of the neurons, or so how do we model that? So that started pretty much in 2012. Jeffrey Hinton was one of the co-author of the paper which cracked the ImageNet with the convolutional neural network problem. And it has been going on, evolving. And particularly when it comes to language models, one of the transformative technology like a transformers was introduced in 2018 by one of the paper from Google itself. That is a foundation which evolved into a BERT model, which is another, basically what Professor mentioned, that it can sequence the word and predict the next word. And that's what the foundation for the conversation. You can start with the dialogue into that. It evolved from there. Like a GPT is much more, is a generative model. It's a generative pre-trained transformation. The transformation is the foundational part, but it's a generative. So it means that you can create a new content. It is not just a search technologies was initially like say Google search or anything. They're mostly you have the data and you search that, you index it, and you should be able to match the keyword and probably with the semantic and some other intelligence. Like say Dr. Watson was one of the in 2015 or something IBM had launched. And it pretty much good traction, but it was pretty much confined to certain data set, search technology rules, and it was put together to tackle that.
Okay.
But this, the neural networks based or the artificial intelligence in the modern form based is much more a gigantic steps taking it forward. And with this generative approach is something which is a fascinating. Now you can just say whether writing a poem, essays, or even movies. You can even put the characters and compose movies. It's predicted by 2013 there are a lot of movies based on the AI. At least you can see the some small web series or some cartoons, etc. will start getting out of that. So it's a very pretty paradigm shift technology from now for the future decades. I think you can see more and more it is evolving. And it's not just the language model, but in the videos and image, it is all coming up. Google had actually launched one of the few cases earlier.
Indeed.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Indeed. We'll come back to that aspect as well. But that brings me to another very interesting and important question. I'd like to bring in Jiten and Mr. Subimal here on that. Jiten, I'll start with you. This is considered to be a sort of a disruptive, model. When we're looking at these applications, it brings in a lot of new, interesting ways to look at things or perhaps solutions as well. But is it all good news?
I think yes. Obviously, any technological development, whether you like it, dislike it, but you can't avoid it, so it's better you welcome it.
Okay.
So it is a news, whether it will be good or bad. That is for the history to judge. But I think it is definitely a good news in our technological evolution, and the way how we use it depends on the way society is going to regulate the use of AI. I foresee 3 disruptions from these technologies. As Professor Mosam and Dr. Kandara rightly pointed out, these are not, analytical models. I mean, we have been long sold over 5 years. Every single startup company is claiming there's, analytical tools and big data analysis as AI. I think this is the first time we are seeing a generative language model, which can actually understand things and comprehend things, and it can do it in real time. So the first, the ability to write a poem, write a code, and even develop a virus, write a virus. I think there are going to be disruptions in all sectors, but that is going to throw 3 challenges. One, it is going to change the way we learn. I think with the evolution of this autocorrect feature in mobile phones, I think 2 generations lost our ability to learn spellings at the right time. We got dependent on autocorrect model. With the evolution of linguistic models in the emails, where they were auto-completing sentences or suggesting sentences when you're drafting an email, I think a generation started to lose the way you write and communicate. I mean, write good sentences. I mean, you were just depending on whatever autocomplete was. So the difference between writing a good letter, bad letter, aggressive letter, assertive letter, or a defensive letter was lost. Now, the moment if a AI start doing assignments, start passing exams, write poems for you, or even write essays, I think our ability to learn, fail, learn from our mistakes, innovate will be greatly affected. I'm not saying it will be harmed, but it will have a huge effect, because when you do experiments in a physics lab, you fail, and I mean, out of great failures, between the fail lies innovation.
Okay.
And if you don't fail, if you just depend on an AI and whatever correct answer it gives you, you will not experiment. So I think it is going to affect learning. Second, I think this current ChatGPT model is working on a data set of 2021. But when it comes to Google, I think Google has the biggest data bank of mining the whole internet. I think biggest developments on neural networks. I think one of the finest developments in AI. And if they can use real-time data, I think that is going to be very dangerous, because I think, as Dr. Mawsam mentioned, I think IBM and Dr. Kandhara mentioned, even IBM Watson was using curated data when they were training the model. They were seeing what was being fed to AI. But here, if you use AI and this linguistic generative models in the real-time data without any curation, I mean, the risk of poisoning the data itself is very, very huge. And that is going to be the biggest challenge.
Okay.
Third, I think the biggest question for us today, for the humanity, everybody's claiming, I think one of the Google engineers last year claimed that Lambda, Google's AI, had become sentient. Sentient means that they had the ability to think, feel, and react.
Okay.
I think that was startling came. And Google did not respond to it, but they put that engineer on the administrative leave. There have been several claims in the past. So I think we are just a decade away from having a sentient AI. And if that happens, I think, there will be a race among, robots or AI to act like humans, and humans will be acting and thinking like robots.
Okay, so Jiten, you said that yes, it is all good news, but then there are concerns as well, and those are the concerns or the challenges, in the way you put across there. We would have to tackle
innovation.
Indeed,
to our evolution.
Indeed, and those challenges will have to be tackled, and those come in with the development of technology, with new inventions as well. Every time we try and find new ways to do different things. Mr. Subimal, your views there on how do you analyze these developments in the world of artificial intelligence, its impact on our lives, and then, the place where we stand today and where it can take us take all these developments can take us in a matter of years, perhaps, not decades?
Yeah, thank you.